What up, cucks? It's your boy, the Hater, and it's time for Monday Night Raw, which means it's time for Monday Night Raw review. All right, without further ado, let's get to this show. I personally hated it, but let's go over what happened. First up, Rhea Ripley comes out, and this is a horrible way to start because this is the way we ended the episode last time, right? She comes out, and she does what she could have easily done last time. This is one problem that seems to be a recurring one for WWE and especially for Raw. They don't understand how to book something and make it make sense. If you're going to introduce Rhea Ripley, there's no need to divide the pop into two situations. People already popped for her last week because that was unexpected, but now it's expected, so the pop is less. She cuts a mid-promo. Rhea Ripley's not good at promos. She's not horrible, but she's not great. She cuts a promo, and basically, the promo is all about Liv Morgan, right? She doesn't say anything about Dominic, and this becomes one of these, stories of the episode type things where every, segment or two, you get interrupted and you see something about this segment. I personally think that's pretty cool because it's, old school, but not for this one, because this storyline has, quite frankly, run its course. Of course, more on that later. Next up, we've got Sheamus versus Big Bronson Reed. The match starts. The match ends, Sheamus wins. Pete Dunne shows up, right? And Pete Dunne, saves Sheamus. Then he, shuns Sheamus away, leaves the ring. Sheamus turns around. Pete Dunne comes back, blasts him from behind. Big Bronson Reed hits the tsunami and squashes Sheamus, right? And Pete Dunne's, all happy about what he did, basically, right? This is not a good idea. It's a waste of time. Pete Dunne is, one half, literally, the size of Sheamus, and him having a feud with Sheamus is just a waste of time. Plus, didn't Ludwig Kaiser have a feud with Sheamus? That's the one that people might care about more, but instead, they've just, replaced him and put Pete Dunne there. It's really dumb. Anyways, nobody really gives a rat's ass up in this bitch. But, what can you do about it, right? It doesn't matter. Next up, we have Sonya Deville versus Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega still has hair that's half one color, half the next color. She sucks. Sonya Deville comes out, and I like Sonya Deville. I always have. I think Sonya Deville is interesting because she's obviously a good-looking girl, and, even though she's, a lesbian, she has a certain femininity towards her, right? So I actually like it because it's she's both badass and good-looking, but that's pretty much all she's got. The match is stupid. She hits her finishing move, which is called Deville's Advocate. It's just a reverse DDT. I don't care what they call it. It's a reverse DDT. Then they get interrupted by the new three-way, friendship of Lyra Valkyria, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance. Later on, Kaden and Katana would have a match with Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. I don't know why they didn't put this match next to, save time on entrances. But whatever, it is what it is. Gunther and Damian Priest engage in a tense face-off, as it says here on WWE.com. I didn't watch this part because, quite honestly, I fell asleep. But afterwards, Michael Cole explained that apparently Damian Priest was called, street trash by Gunther, right? So the idea is, this is a meaningless feud. It's one of the most meaningless feuds of all time. And quite frankly, it's inexcusable this is going to be in SummerSlam. SummerSlam, there was a point where SummerSlam was the second most important pay-per-view after WrestleMania. And then, since then, it's completely useless. This is not even, there's not a feud. The only feud here is basically Damian Priest is Latino and has tattoos, and Gunther is white and doesn't. So he thinks he's better than Damian Priest, and Damian Priest is from the streets. It's fucking stupid. There's 2 weeks to do the build-up, and quite frankly, this is a world title match at the second biggest pay-per-view, and this match just is not up to par for it. Obviously, Gunther's going to win. It's almost 100%. There's a small chance that he doesn't, but it's almost 100% because the next pay-per-view, they're going to Berlin, and Gunther's, he's Austrian, but they're the fucking same thing as the Germans. If you know anything about history, the Austrians and the Germans are basically the same people. And there was just a border in between them, right? It's kind of like saying someone's not from North Carolina, they're from South Carolina. It's the same fucking shit. So anyways, point is, so he's probably going to go there with the title. Now, there's obviously a chance that Damian Priest beats him at SummerSlam, and then maybe Gunther wins it in Berlin. Who the fuck knows, right? That might be a better idea, actually. But, it doesn't really matter. long story short, Gunther is going to become the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, I know people were like, oh, hater, we told you he was going to be World Heavyweight Champion. No, motherfucks. You told me he was going to be WWE Champion. There's a big fucking difference, right? All the conversation about Gunther being World Champion went away when the second title, which doesn't count, appeared like a year and a half ago, right? This title doesn't mean shit. There's only one champion. I don't care if, like, Damian Priest and Gunther have an Intercontinental title match and they called it a world title match. This is an Intercontinental title match. If this world title didn't exist, this would be for the Intercontinental title. It would be for Gunther's Intercontinental title, and we all know this. So winning this title is not a step up. Like, Gunther moving from the Intercontinental title to this title is a lateral. It's not a step up. It's not a step down either, but it's a lateral. Nevertheless, after this, we have a pretty decent and enjoyable match between Damian Priest and Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is basically never going to be taken seriously again. He's just a big retard, right? And this was a theme that we're going to keep exploring in WWE. He's just this big retard. He continues to run into things, right? Eventually, like, fucking Damian Priest does like 3 Trouble in Paradises to various forms of Braun Strowman. First to a kneeling Braun Strowman, then to a like hovering, like bending over Braun Strowman, then to like basically a downed Braun Strowman. Then eventually he hits the South of Heaven, and it didn't look too great. It didn't look too bad either. And he pins Braun Strowman clean. Braun Strowman has no reason to have a job. The fact that this guy is like 6'8", and he is probably like, I don't think there's anybody in the roster that could beat him in a real fight, like at all. Even like Omos, like there's nobody that could beat up Braun Strowman. Oh, Chad Gable is a wrestler. Shut up. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? But this guy's treated like a jobber. Now, I'm not like, it's understandable for Damian Priest to beat him because it's like within the realm of possibility. I mean, it really isn't. But Damian Priest is one of the bigger guys, so it's believable that he could, right? It's not like JD McDonough beat him, But nevertheless, it's not good enough. Then we've got Shayna and Zoe versus Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. They hit that knee strike thing where like the alley-oop into the knee strike and they win. Baszler and Stark do. Who cares? Then Drew McIntyre has like a little promo. And basically, to be honest, I fell asleep during this too, so I don't remember it very well. But I know he's yelling at Adam Pearce. And like I think Adam Pearce was saying like apologize. I forget what it was, to be honest. But basically Adam Pearce like then revokes Drew McIntyre's reinstatement. And Drew McIntyre starts like beating people up. Drew McIntyre deserves better than this. Next up, Pat McAfee was given a tape on his show. And the tape is another Wyatt tape. The tape is, this time it's Eric Rowan. And he's just talking about how his friends died. This is very odd. It's starting to become a bit uncomfortable. The amount of TV time this horseshit angle is getting. And also, the promo that Eric Rowan cut was garbage. Like, he did a decent job because he did, emote a little bit. But the promo was just lies. Like, he was like, me and my family, we were unstoppable. No, you weren't. You weren't unstoppable. The Rock stopped Eric Rowan in 4 seconds. You know what I'm saying? They were jobbers. Like, this idea that the Wyatt family has been retconned into being anything but a jobber faction is preposterous. Like, they're the faction that came out and The Rock squashed them at WrestleMania in 4 seconds. Let's not forget that. Oh, Bray Wyatt won a match here and there. Like, Bray Wyatt would wrestle once every 3 months, right? And he'd win and he'd lose like 70% of the time and he'd win something meaningless, right? Meanwhile, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper were jobbers. Like, they were like, their whole entire career was like them getting their asses beaten by like the New Day and the Usos. You know what I mean? They weren't this like dominant force, no matter how much Eric Rowan pretends they were. We were unstoppable. Everyone stopped them. Like, literally everyone stopped the Wyatt family. Cena stopped them. Roman Reigns stopped them. The New Day stopped them. Daniel Bryan stopped them. Randy Orton stopped them like 7 times in a row. Like, I don't think the Wyatt family ever got one up on Randy Orton. It's like every time the Wyatt family would fuck with Randy Orton, it would end with like some catastrophe. Like, Randy Orton would like burn down their compound. Randy Orton would piss on their grave. He'd wipe his ass with like fucking Sister Abigail's habit. You know what I mean? Like, you just completely ruined them. He burned Bray Wyatt alive like several times. It's really dumb. This was not a dominant faction. And quite frankly, we're going to get to this a little bit later, but this got even worse. Next up, we have Jey Uso and Dominic Mysterio. The feud is predicated upon the fact that Jey Uso wants to make a move on mommy, Rhea Ripley. Dominic Mysterio is there to defend her honor. He's doing just fine. Liv Morgan comes out again, right? And we have yet another Dominic falls in between Liv Morgan's legs spot, right? This is stupid at this point. And then Rhea Ripley comes out to chase, what's her face? Liv Morgan away. And she's like mad at Dominic. But it's like, all right, is Rhea Ripley retarded? Like, does she not see what's happening? Like, it's not like Dominic wants to be around Liv Morgan, right? Kayfabe-wise, if Dominic chooses, let's say he chooses Liv Morgan over Rhea Ripley, right? That would be like a twist, You wouldn't expect that because the way it's being presented is that Dominic wants nothing to do with Liv Morgan, but he always seems to, like, stumble his way in between her legs, or he's, like, carrying her, or something intimate like that, right? Now, anybody that watches this, like Rhea Ripley, would be like, hey, Dominic, are you retarded? Like, stop falling, you know what I mean? That would be the bigger concern, right? It's not like Dominic is betraying her because Jey Uso kicked him from behind and he fell on top of Liv Morgan. Like, nobody realistically would be like, how dare you do this? You know what I mean? That's stupid. But Rhea Ripley is a stupid character, right? She's not presented as an intelligent, like, wrestler. She's just a dumbass, doesn't understand what's going on. And anyways, this happens, right? Also, speaking of Rhea Ripley, like, it's like her and Damian Priest are like the only ones in the Judgment Day now that aren't retarded. Everyone else is just straight up retarded. Like JD McDonough and Finn Balor are just playing video games. They've pretty much turned into comedy characters now. Carlito is just there, like, his gimmick literally is he is retarded. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this, man. The amount of wrestlers on this show whose gimmick is they're retarded is like skyrocketing, right? Carlito basically adds absolutely nothing. Remember when people were like, man, they really should hire Carlito back. Wow, were we wrong about that? Carlito fucking sucks, motherfucks. He's one of the worst wrestlers of all time at this point. Like, they hired him back, and this guy is a detriment. He's, like, right there with, like, JTG as people that have gotten a paycheck for doing nothing. Right there, JTG, him, Primo, and Epico. I'm sure there's a few other ones, like Gilbert for a while. Like, people that have just gotten paid and haven't brought a penny back. Like, a lot of NXT guys, to be honest, but like Nakamura at this point too. But let's be real, right? We've got these guys. They're not doing anything at all, right? Nothing at all. Carlito's there. He's pretty much there to just play video games, look like a retard. And then once in a while, he turns around and he says, that's cool. Or, that's not cool. And people, like, pop. Like, he's basically like Ron Simmons, except for instead of saying, damn, right? Which was actually interesting because that was, like, unique. He just says his catchphrase, and we have to react to it. That's cool, or that's not cool. Like, shut the fuck up. You're a fucking jobber, you know what I'm saying? Get out of here. Anyways, as I said, Jey Uso versus Dominic. Jey Uso ends up hitting the spear and the splash, completing the Samoan moveset, and he wins the match. Next up, we have Chad Gable comes out, and basically he's completely justified in what he says to Adam Pearce. He says to Adam Pearce, like, yo, what the fuck do you do around here? Basically, Chad Gable listened to the haters' last video about the Raw review, and he decided to, like, make that same point to fucking, what's-his-face, to Adam Pearce, right? Because it was the same exact point. It's like, yo, what the fuck do you do around here? Adam Pearce just fucking is there like a retard, man. It's like, his gimmick is not that he's retarded, but he acts like he's retarded. Drew McIntyre is like, yo, can you do something about the fact that CM Punk keeps ruining all the matches that you're putting together? Like, in kayfabe, Adam Pearce is responsible for putting together a good and attractive card. So people will buy the pay-per-view, right? That's the purpose of the character of the general manager. Drew McIntyre is like, yo, every fucking main event match we have is ruined by CM Punk. Do something about it. Adam Pearce is like, I'm not going to do anything. Then the Wyatt 6, those fucking jobbers, come out, they murder everyone. Chad Gable goes to the boss and he says, yo, are you going to do something about the fact that these retards keep invading your TV show in kayfabe? Not only do they attack, like, the entire staff and the personnel and everything else, but every week, Nikki Cross comes out and ruins, like, 10 minutes of TV that we have to play this tape. And Adam Pearce is like, I don't know what to do. Like, he's fucking retarded. Like, Adam Pearce, this is not his fault because, he doesn't do the writing. But the character of Adam Pearce, there has never been a dumber character who has had a managerial capacity in the history of wrestling. Like, literally, there's not one. Hornswoggle, when he was revealed to be like the retard that would, send emails to Michael Cole, that guy was more intelligent than this person. Mike Adamle was better than Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is the worst authority figure in the history of wrestling. He is fucking retarded. Like, during the Drew McIntyre segment, I was just hoping that Drew McIntyre just beats the shit out of this guy and lands like a bad punch, gives him a mild concussion that puts him out for a few weeks and gets him fired so he can get a better show. But anyways, obviously I don't want that to happen. I'm just joking around, cucks. But then the Wyatt 6 segment is going to happen. Chad Gable says, I'll take matters into my own hands. He has a segment with the Alpha Academy, and they're talking about how they're going to support their friend. And the friend they're talking about, apparently, is Xavier Woods. No follow through at all with Xavier Woods in the Final Testament. That's a complete waste of time. These people are just jobbers. Like, there's no reason to pay Paul Ellering. Like, this is why Triple H sucks. Because he's paying, like, just think about that. In the New Day plus Final Testament storyline, there's like 7 people involved. All those people are getting paid, right? All of them are not drawing 1 cent. So there you have it. But basically, Chad Gable is telling Alpha Academy, he's like, I figured it out. Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, right? So this is already turning into a comedy gimmick because, like, you know, it's clear that it's Bo Dallas. And everyone's like, yeah, we already knew. And then Gable goes to the ring and he says the same thing. He's like, Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, right? And then Michael Cole is like, duh. Like, on commentary, he's like, duh. What do you mean, duh? If fucking Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, why do we have to sit through every week and listen to him have, like, a conversation with himself? You see what I'm saying? Like, if Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, then what is the purpose of the Wyatt Six? We've established it. Uncle Howdy is just Bo Dallas being retarded. So Chad Gable is right. He's like, yo, the retard in the mask, it's Bo Dallas. Everyone's like, yeah, we already knew that. Well, then why the fuck are we tolerating it? If we know who they are, why is Bo Dallas even allowed to have a job? He just attacked like the entire Raw production team. This is just shit writing through and through. Bo Dallas starts coming out for some reason, dressed like a normal dude. This is fucking preposterous. He's supposed to be Uncle Howdy. He just comes out as Bo Dallas. He gets pounded from behind by the Creed brothers, who finally someone understood that the Creed brothers and Chad Gable are a natural fit for a faction, right? Now you have, aside from like Braun Strowman and Omos and maybe Drew McIntyre just because of their size, you have by far the 3 most legit guys in this entire company. Like, Brutus Creed was like the shoo-in to win the NCAA heavyweight title for wrestling, but the pandemic made it so he couldn't do it. The other guy, his brother, is also a standout, right? These guys would beat the shit out of everyone, right? Everyone. Like, even Lashley. Like, if you had Lashley, I would take Brutus Creed over Lashley, right? These guys are animals. Like, they're fucking super athletic. And then there they go. They beat the shit out of Bo Dallas, who looks tiny compared to the Creed brothers. He's more comparable to Chad Gable. It's like, this guy's never going to be a main eventer. There is a 0 chance, motherfuckers. If people like Shelton Benjamin couldn't become main eventers, Bo Dallas has a 0 chance. So Bo Dallas comes out, gets his ass whooped. They're whooping his ass, and he starts laughing, right? Then what happens? Eventually, after 10 minutes, it seems like, the Wyatt music hits, and the fucking retards start rolling out. All of a sudden, for some reason, the Creed brothers and Chad Gable are afraid. I don't know why. Like, Brutus Creed would beat the shit out of everyone involved in the Wyatt family, like by himself. So I don't know why they're afraid, but they are, right? For some reason, they're afraid of Eric Rowan, who's never won a meaningful match in his career, in a rabbit mask. Like, literally, everyone in the Wyatt family has not, forget about the titles. No one there has won anything close to a pay-per-view match. Like, I don't think anybody there has participated and won in a singles pay-per-view match, except for maybe Nikki Cross. Right? They're just jobbers through and through. And in my opinion, like, if this is gonna be the first program, like the Buzzard, the Pig, and Eric Rowan versus the Creeds and fucking Chad Gable, the Creeds and Chad Gable should go over. They have a bigger ceiling. The Wyatt Six has already failed. This is a complete and colossal failure. Now, another thing that I didn't like was Chad Gable and the Creed brothers are beating the shit out of Bo Dallas. And Michael Cole, right? Like, they don't even know. They don't know if the Wyatt Six are faces or heels. It looks like they're faces all of a sudden, right? They started out as heels, now they're faces again. You know, Michael Cole is like, oh, it's just a cowardly 3-on-1 attack. What? What about the 6-on-1 attack where the Wyatt Six destroyed and killed Chad Gable, unprovoked, by the way, and went and killed like the rest of the WWE production crew? What about that? You know what I mean? Where is that going? That's okay. But when Chad Gable gets revenge for them 5-on-1ing him, then Chad Gable, oh, how could he do this? He's 3-on-1ing Bo Dallas, right? As if Bo Dallas is like stone cold. You know, Chad Gable should be able to squash Bo Dallas in 10 seconds. But anyways, I digress. Next up, we have a horrible main event, which is made good only by the fact that it's ruined by Braun Breaker. Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov are the exact same character. They're these overly emoting jobbers that just refuse to quit. So this match had shit written all over it. Ilya Dragunov is just not good. I'm sorry. I like the kid because he's athletic. He's got a decent look, but he's too much. He's over the top. Like, he gets speared and you think he just got killed. You know, he oversells. He's like a Dolph Ziggler. He oversells. He's like a Sami Zayn. And quite frankly, he doesn't really add anything. He's not interesting enough. Braun Breaker spears them both, and Braun Breaker closes the show. The show wasn't good at all. The only saving grace is the Dominic storyline, and of course, obviously, Braun Breaker. But that's not good enough, motherfucks. So that being said, take care of yourselves, cucks.